Well, good morning, Magic Makers. It's Sunday, it's right before Labor Day, and I wanted to share a bit with you about just kind of my own processes and things that have been happening. Just because I'm constantly working on a lot of these same issues that you are. So that way, hopefully what it does, it helps you feel like you're not so alone, you're not so weird, you're not an outlier. Over this last week, like putting myself out a lot in the group and being really, really, really visible is contrary to what some people might think, because I'm a performer, is that it's actually very difficult for me to do because I'm putting myself at more risk of being, judged or harmed or anything like that. And whether or not like there's any like actual threat doesn't really matter to my brain. It likes to just, try to have me, be in this loop of things. And so it's like by having the practice of showing up and being consistent, I get a chance to keep working with my own ability to recalibrate and recenter myself, because it's not about having perfect balance. It's about like the recovery time from when it goes to being too much, and then starts to come back to center. So whereas in previous seasons and years past, it might have been that I felt off kilter and things kind of melted down, and then I might not come back to something for like years or months. It would take quite a while for me to want to kind of come back in and push back up against the things that I was working with before. So so being like sharing about the upcoming program, that like writing all of that, like this is a very like I'm finally feel like I'm bringing together all of the elements of the not just the skill sets that I have, but the ways of being and the ways that I would love to support other people. So when I even now like I talk about that, and it's like I feel like tenderness around my heart. Like I kind of feel a little bit like, oh, it's kind of hard to share this because I've always felt like I'm the outlier. Like I'm kind of on the outside looking in, trying to figure out, how am I a human being? And I don't know. So those are some of the different things that I just like I struggle with on a regular basis. It doesn't matter whether I'm, promoting a program or doing anything like that. But there's things where it's like I'm consistently assessing the risk of showing up and being vulnerable, because it's very much this conversation and this dance and then going back and forth, and that even over the course of 5 days of continually like output and showing up and doing things, that by the end of the week I was just like I was wrecked. And not even necessarily because I pushed myself too hard. I didn't push past or do anything that I absolutely did not want to do. I wanted to do all of it. But yet my nervous system just had it didn't know how to process all of the experiences of what was happening. And I've gotten used to working with this. So when it happens, then like before I used to pretty much just kind of not deal with it. So I push it away or ignore it or not talk about it or not ask for support. And that's very different now. Like I reached out and asked for support from friends and mentors. I got a really nice snuggle session with my boyfriend and some nice hair petting, because I just needed to just be held onto and kind of surrounded and engulfed. Ate some food that made me feel good. And then yesterday wound up driving up to go visit with my kids. They live a few hours from where I do right now. They're up in the country, which was really neat because there's goats and chickens, and it was hot, but it was still really enjoyable to be outside in nature. It was very quiet and very peaceful. Out where they're at, there's not a lot of traffic. Like it feels like the pace of life is just so much mellower. And it was also nice to just be in the car for a while. I had first I thought I was going to listen to some podcasts about a book series that I've been reading. But then I realized that I wanted to listen to a bunch of songs that I knew. And I wanted to sing along with them. And I wanted to have it up really, really loud. And it was great. Like having this moment where it's like, I can be as I'm in my little bubble of the car, but nobody else can hear me. People can see me maybe singing along, but who knows? They probably don't even really understand or know what's going on. Nobody's really able to pay attention to what I'm doing. And and plus just singing the songs that I know and I love, it just the whether it's the resonance or just, the act of it, was very soothing. And it helped really help things feel more normal. This is the kind of thing that I would do if I was driving to a dance event, is I'd be, rocking along with songs and singing and having myself be in this very present with myself, and just being in the moment and enjoying it. And even before I'd left on the trip yesterday, by taking the time on Friday to really acknowledge okay, I wasn't necessarily looking to problem solve, this is why I'm feeling this way, but it was very much just okay, this is this space that I'm here in, and this is how this is what would help for being tender and nourishing and taking care of this, because I know that feelings always shift and they evolve and they move, and I'm not going to be stuck in this feeling forever, even though right now it feels horrible and it's not what I wanted to feel. I wanted to get to the end of the week and be super jazzed and super excited and on fire and connecting, and instead was just oh my God, I just want to go hide. So I honored that. And then by Saturday, things were shifting. I knew I had this little road trip to look forward to, and was doing things while I was on that trip to help also kind of bring in a sense of things being fairly normal for myself. And then just enjoyed the time, with the kids and with animals. They have several dairy goats and chickens, and then the neighbor dog and their dog and the cat. And so it's just, all this animal love and snuggles and nibbles and all sorts of other goats. They're weird, but they're also very, very sweet. And so then by the time I got home, and I made sure I headed back last night, and I got home before it was too late. So it was I wasn't too overly tired, stressed out. So, and interestingly, on the way back home, I wound up listening to the podcast rather than music. I didn't really feel like I was needing any more singing along with stuff. And it was perfect. And got a fair amount of sleep. And then this morning, just kind of still in that space of okay, I'm taking this holiday weekend to just do the things that help me recenter and reground and keep building up those trust building conversations with myself. So I wanted to share with you my card that I pulled for today, as well as a fun little exercise from one of my little workbooks that I'm using. So the card that I pulled up today It's a little hard to see, but it's the Eight of Cups. So it's this beautiful holographic deck, which is visually gorgeous to look at, but actually really hard to capture on camera, which is okay. So this is from the Threads of Fate deck that just recently came out, and I like it. I like the artwork. It's very, very thick, so shuffling it is kind of complicated. But with the Eight of Cups is like, it really, it resonated a lot because I was feeling like I'd just been through all this like turmoil and all this stuff going on. But I was at that point of going, okay, so there's the lessons that come out of that. And I don't really want to use it like the silver linings thing, but it is kind of where I kind of go, okay, like that really sucked, but I took care of it. I just allowed it to be without like forcing and changing things and doing that. And then the little, so I have this fun little workbook, the Zen as Fuck book. And it's great. There's like little journaling prompts, plus the watercolor artwork in here is really adorable. It's actually got me, I'm been learning how to do digital watercolor paintings, which is really fun. And also playing a little bit with actual like watercolors and paper too. But the prompt for this one is about like, don't you just feel like an octopus? So like you're trying to manage all of these things, and it's all like, or you're balancing a lot of plates. Like you're at the edge, the verge of everything just completely falling apart. And it's like, it's inevitable. Like, it's all gonna fall apart, and you really don't want it to, because it's gonna be really messy, and then you're gonna have to clean it up and all of that. So this one was called the Octopus of Doom. So being a squishy and amorphous sea creature isn't all it's cracked up to be. Sometimes we have our grimy tentacles on so much shit we get pulled in different directions. So the prompt was for writing down 8 things that I feel like I'm stuck to. So the things that I had written on here, and we'll go into this a little bit more, but so 1, believing that I'm gonna fail, thinking that what I do doesn't matter, that no one cares, that my needs won't get met, that I'm too weird, people are too busy, that I don't know enough for sharing what I'm sharing, and that I'm gonna be stuck in this cycle forever. And by this cycle, meaning the one of like, exploring a thing, wanting to share it with people, and then it failing. So it's like this whole thing over and over and over again. So it felt really good to like, even though these are like things that I know, they're familiar, they feel like, well, they're shitty friends, but they're still there anyway. But it felt very soothing to write it down and go, okay, yeah, that's, yep, it's that one. Yep, and it's that one too, and it's that one too, and it's that one too. And like that little sense of like lightness and relief that comes from like acknowledging the thoughts and the stories that come up whenever you're just trying to do stuff. And you might not even be trying to do something like spectacular. You might just be like, dude, I just want to get through the day. And your brain is just like, blah, 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 blah. Because like I had said the other day, it's not because it's not true, but it's not an accurate reflection of what's happening at that moment. So it's based on a truth or an experience that you've had, but it may be that it's like it's skewed the proportions. It's funhouse mirror. It's looking at your reflection in like water with ripples. So it's like, yeah, it's based on reality, but it's not. You don't want to be going completely as taking it at its word at that moment and go on that reality. And sometimes we still do anyway. We know better and we still do it, and it's okay. So the exercise for this one was talking about like, can I pry off any of these tentacles? I could circle them, and it's like, for me, I'm like, all of these, just all of them. And it doesn't mean that I won't ever experience them or feel them again, because I know I will. Might be next week, next month, tonight, who knows? And I'm not looking forward to it. But then there's the invitation to unstick yourself, go on and glide through that crystal clear water like the friendly ocean dweller you are. And if you've ever, so octopi are really, really interesting creatures. They can be very chameleon-like and very adaptable, and also like learn very quickly. They're known for being escape artists, but also like they have routines and they have schedules, and they they're very sentient, which is, I think, partly what makes them so like, I mean, some people are actually like actively creeped out by them, but it just makes them so intriguing because there's no, a lot of the other animals that have like that same level of like sentient ability vocalize in some way. But octopi being underwater, I don't think they actually do, but maybe they do and we can't hear it. I have no idea. But they still have all these other ways of communicating. Some of them communicate through flashing like different colors, like through their skin, or with different like tentacle configurations and shapes and the way they interact with each other. And that was just like helping me like remember. And it was funny, like I'd done this little journaling with Octopus of Doom, and then I wound up pulling pulling out the Eight of Cups, which honestly, it kind of felt like, okay, like I'm acknowledging like there's all of this stuff. And I'm very likely to experience it again. And I can also explore new and different ways of being free from it. Or at least free for a little bit. A few minutes. Get some peace. And that, you know, whatever it is that you do that is, you know, when you're not feeling okay, you know, whatever like your self-care response is completely valid. And so, you know, it's the kind of the thoughts with today, like if you have the ability to like really like, you know, turn off the engine, slow down. You know, I know sometimes like going internal can be a really complicated place, but finding something that is pleasurable can be, yeah, if it's music, if it's dancing, if it's, you know, making music, if it's singing, if it's jumping up and down, if it's, you know, playing with different craft things, find some way to do that. And just let it be whatever it is. And, you know, without that concern of, you know, it needs to be like professional level quality. And, you know, what is professional level quality anyway? So just enjoy it. And if you feel like sharing with us the things that brought you that sense of just being able to release all of the weight and the stories and the things like that you're carrying around, I would, you know, please share it in the group. Let us know the thing that's like bringing you a little bit of happiness and joy today. So I really wish that you have a wonderful holiday weekend, and stay tuned. I'll be checking back in with you again. Bye.